hear a show like this anywhere else. And that's probably for the best. The Worst of the Riot, Radio U.
The question is, our guy Nene from Afternoons yesterday confessed that when he ran his marathon on Sunday, shortly before the marathon, he bought a new pair of headphones just for the marathon, and then shortly thereafter returned the headphones that he had sweated all up in. He returned them back to the store to get his money back. Is that stealing? Susanna simply says, stealing. We see where she stands. I have a comment here. Kind of seems a bit like stealing if you bought them intentionally to return them after. It's all about intent, it sounds like, to this person. However, Regina said, I don't know that I'd call that stealing, but it doesn't feel right. And it's super gross because there's no way he didn't sweat in them. He says he did claim he cleaned them before he took them back.
And you believe that?
Yeah, I don't know if I believe that.
Maybe with a Lysol wipe. I guess you could Lysol wipe him real quick.
Yeah, give it
An
a quick...
antibacterial wipe.
Sue says, so you bought headphones knowing you're going to take them back after you wore them, plus you wore them during a marathon where you were sweating like a pig. Sue is not pleased with Nene, to say the least. Let's see. Kelly says, yuck. Do you think the store, I don't know what store he took them back to. You think they resold them or would resell them? Open box special?
Yeah, I would say so.
So they still get some money out of it.
See, now this is where I think it might be wrong. Also, Stacy says stealing is taking him without paying with intent to keep. He didn't keep them.
Stacy also said that is genius.
Carl says, considering clothes are made in third world sweatshops.
And headphones too.
He has no issues screwing them over every now and then.
That'll show him.
How about this? One of my ex-boyfriends did this all the time, but he was a terrible person. He goes out and buys a flat screen with every intent on returning it later, opens it up, breaks the packaging, then returns it, never using it once. And so since he broke all the packaging, now the TV is discounted, sends a friend in, buys the discounted TV.
So that's how he gets his deal.
That seems wrong. But the first comment after that, that's genius.
I don't know. It's true for big games when you get like New Year's, the college football games, or the Super Bowl, of course. People often, especially Costco is known for this. They go and they buy the biggest TV with no intention of keeping it. It's just for the big game, and then you bring it back, and it's a free rental, is what it is. I agree. It's not stealing. It doesn't feel fully right because what are the options, right? I guess if everybody did this, that's something. Sometimes you have to ask yourself that in these kind of situations. What if everybody did this? Then chaos, right?
Chaos ensues.
Yeah. So it's not right. You shouldn't do it. I think it's a very, very limited scope of when this is okay. And I don't know if Nene, I might have to have a talk with him.
Oh, have a talk with him.
Yeah, I'm going to have to sit him down.
I think that if you do this to like Walmart, that's different than doing it to like a small business.
Okay.
My parents are small business owners.
Yeah.
If you did that to them, I would be real upset with you.
Thoroughly upset.
I would, if you came in and returned something that you clearly just used once, I would be upset. Especially if your kid, my parents own a toy store, if your kid was sucking on it too, that would make it even worse.
It's so tough
kids
because
are dirty.
My first thought is, well, it's the store's return policy, but then if to deter people from doing this, they'd have to like shrink their return policy and make it much more difficult, and then who'd be upset? People that actually want to return stuff.
Exactly.
Legitimately. So that's why I say I'm going to call foul on this one.
If it's Amazon, that's one thing.
And why buy new headphones just for the race? Which headphones were you using to train? It's the same thing.
I know. It doesn't really make any sense to me.
a lot of
Like
sense.
the ones that I wear to work out every day are probably disgusting.
The only thing Isaiah loves more than the riot is himself.
Someone who probably still lives with his mother and hates himself.
You're listening to The Riot on Radio U.
Bacon had a moment, right? You remember years ago when bacon was like people's entire personality?
What food is like that now? Would you say pickles?
Pickles could be
People like
emerging into that
pickles.
territory. Also ranch.
Ranch, interesting thought.
Yeah, lots of people really into ranch, especially with the Taylor Swift stuff going on. So it's kind of taken off.
Back in around 2013 was when bacon really was at its peak.
Ron Swanson and Parks and Rec really played a big role in that. Well, it's been a while. I mean, obviously people still love bacon, but it's not as much of a thing, but maybe this will change it. Let me ask you this. How do you feel about apple cider?
I think at the right time of year, which is now, it has some pros to it.
Are you
I'm an apple cider fan.
you a hot apple cider or cold?
Good question. I like it both ways.
I do too. And so
I prefer it warm, I think, for the season because if I'm going to drink it, I'd like to be outside in maybe a pumpkin patch or an apple orchard
yeah,
where I can get
hot
a
and
small,
fresh.
maybe a small styrofoam cup for maybe
It
$6.
tastes better out of a styrofoam
It
cup.
pays better the
for
more you
$6.
pay, the smaller the styrofoam cup is.
Yeah. What have I told you that at a grocery store near you, you could have apple cider bacon?
It's an interesting thought.
It's an interesting concept, isn't it?
I mean, this has been done before.
It has
I mean, like apple bacon
applewood smoked, but that's different.
seems pretty similar.
No, it's not at all.
Seems awful similar.
Applewood is like what they use to, like they make the fire and I assume, and then like put the bacon in the same room and it soaks up all that smoke. But this apple cider, this is like the seasoning that makes up whatever that takes apple juice and turns it into apple cider, and they're putting this on the bacon. That's way different.
Then there's apple butter bacon.
Ooh. Oh, I love apple butter.
Yeah, you do. And people put that on sandwiches with bacon. I think apple and bacon go together, flavor-wise.
Yeah. Sometimes it makes sense because sometimes the pig has an apple in its mouth and it's like being roasted or whatever.
Mm.
So I get it.
That's how they make an apple smoked.
That's how they do it. This is a new offering from Hormel, and Hormel has done like weird one-off bacons before, but this one is unique because they're actually selling it in stores. It's not just like, oh, go online and enter a sweepstakes or something. This is for real. You can find it. So I don't know if we've ever done a bacon food fight on the show, but this might be an opportunity if we can find this.
Could be. We could do bacon in the morning. I'm not opposed to that. I would say I'm a fan of bacon. I like bacon.
Mm-hmm.
Do I think I would like apple cider bacon? I probably would because I don't think it would taste that different from regular bacon.
Yeah.
If anything, it'd be more of maybe a candied bacon. I've
Yeah.
had candied bacon. A little overrated, but it's okay.
It is good. I mean, I struggle to see the downsides of this, so I'm all for it. What's your preferred method of bacon preparation?
Good question. What you
Obviously,
do is
for us here, we'd probably have to do. We have that toaster oven. We probably have to do that.
I like oven bacon.
Uh-huh.
That's how I do it. Toss on like 400. You don't preheat it.
Okay.
You stick it in there on a pan,
Yeah,
20 minutes, and it's done.
that's one way to do it.
And it's perfect every time.
Never
Misses.
I'm a big pan fry bacon man. Let it just sit there in its grease for a while. Cut it in half. That's my wife's trick. You cut each slice in half. They cook better that way.
We're not sure who behaves worse, the riot or their dogs.
I don't even know how to behave like a real human being.
The Riot, Radio U.
Are there any restaurants that are a pure no-go on a first date where you end the date right there? The reason we're asking is because a lady on TikTok ended a date after her date brought her to the Cheesecake Factory. So far, the text coming in, Jamal, I'm a vegan, so I don't want to go to McDonald's on a first date.
Understandable.
Yeah. I would imagine that if you're a vegan, McDonald's wouldn't be the only place that might be off limits, right?
Yeah, I'm sure there's a couple of other ones that probably don't have very good vegan options.
Probably most barbecue restaurants might not be your top place to go. Let's see. Regina says McDonald's also. McDonald's getting a lot of hate for the first dates. You know anybody that's ever been on a first date to McDonald's?
No.
Not intentionally.
That
or
would
not
be,
where that was the focal point
that
of the
wasn't,
date.
yeah, maybe you get it after
Yeah.
you do something else.
Uh-huh.
Because it's just convenient.
Yeah.
And
Hey,
then- but
we've had a good night bowling.
Yeah.
Let's go get some apple pies before we say so long.
And you still look like a, you still
Cheapo.
don't look good if you do that.
but, I mean, if the date goes well and it goes late into the night, McDonald's might be the only place open. It's either that or Taco Bell. Let's see. Carl says, break her phone and leave. See, my first thought was that, well, Carl, she's going to call the police. But then I thought, how's she going to do that with a broken phone?
She can't.
She can't. Boom. The perfect crime. Is there any restaurant you would say no to on a first date?
Hannah says McDonald's. I've always disliked McDonald's, and it's cheap. Justin says White
Jeez.
Castle is not a good first date choice. I think we can nail down no fast food. I'm thinking more like, are you guys okay with Chili's? Are you guys okay with Applebee's? Are those appropriate first dates? I don't think
You
many
should have
people.
specified.
I think we could have skipped over McDonald's.
Yeah.
But you know what? I'm sure someone's been asked on a date to McDonald's. Maybe they
it's
enjoyed
happened.
it.
And I guarantee you there's stories of people who went on their first date to McDonald's and got married and lived happily ever after.
Dee says the restaurant my husband took me for our first date was so bad we never returned to that location by choice.
Wow. And it still worked out.
How romantic.
Yeah.
I would say Regina says Chili's totally fine. My husband proposed at one.
No way. To you or to somebody else?
I would say, for me, I don't usually roll with the chains on a first date. I think it's more special if you take them somewhere maybe unique they've never been to. I think that's a better strategy.
Yeah.
Do I think there's anything wrong with going to a chain? I don't think there is. I'm just trying to give you advice. I think maybe taking them somewhere unique makes it a little more special. Somewhere they've never been to.
Well, I think in many areas, you would be surprised that the places you don't think are chains are actually chains. Some of the sit-down places you don't realize there's several locations. I don't think you can write off a place just because it's a chain, but it should be nicer. It should just be good. As long as it's good, why would you write it off? You know what I'm saying?
But does it feel special? You know, McDonald's is good. Applebee's good.
But not special enough.
But I don't know if but obviously for a first date, you don't have to break the bank either.
Yeah.
But breaking the bank isn't always, you can go somewhere unique that isn't super expensive.
You think, what about this though? What if it's less about the chain, more about atmosphere?
That's the most important part of the whole date.
Is Applebee's frowned upon because it's a chain or because of the atmosphere?
Because when you bring a girl to Applebee's, what's she thinking about you right away, you know? She's not like, oh, this great gentleman. This luxurious gentleman. But if you're not trying to give off that persona, it doesn't matter.
But if you take a gal to, let's think, what about Olive Garden? That's obviously a chain, but much nicer ambiance for a date than Chili's.
Shrew says Mitchell's restaurant or any 5-star place are out. I also think it's all about, if I'm not going to take a girl somewhere where it's like super expensive, because then she's going to think I'm hot dogging like that. And I can't hot dog like that.
Time. Yeah. But at the end of the day, though, if you put yourself in the woman's position where the other guy's paying, I would be hard pressed to say no to anything.
Yeah.
Disinformation, mispronunciations, bad impressions. That's Hudson. This is The Riot on Radio U.
Question for you. Do you think certain Halloween costumes get you more candy when you trick or treat?
for children?
Yeah. Not now. I don't. What kind of costume could you wear now that would get you more candy than zero candy?
Yeah, I don't know how adults are garnering candy. I would say no.
You don't think so? You think parents or people handing out candy are just fair?
I think when you go into it, but I don't know. I've never handed out candy ever before.
Nor have I.
You've never handed out candy? Don't you live in a neighborhood?
Yeah, but I just
What do you do?
usually
you're usually out and about.
I'll go out and about, but I also just put a bowl out, even if I'm home. I trust them. I trust the kids.
I would say for me, if I were to hand out candy, I would have a system. I would know how much candy I have.
Yeah.
I would say everybody's getting 3 pieces. And then you're getting 3 pieces no matter what. And then if a kid asked me for 4, I would say I'm giving 3 to everybody. Move along.
Even if they have a great costume.
Even if they have a great costume.
What if they dressed up as you? Would you give them more candy?
I'd give them whatever they want.
That wasn't asked about in this survey. This survey, they didn't ask to flattering costumes. Get you more candy.
If you were dressed up as a basset hound and I'm there with my dog Jim, then you're gonna get more candy. You have to hit me in where it hurts.
Yeah.
Hit me in the heartstrings. Or maybe your mom's really cute and she's the only one there. I would give you more candy as well if mom was really cute.
Sheesh. Or maybe they dressed up as Deshaun Watson, perhaps.
Maybe Nick Chubb would be better.
Chubb. According to this survey, 61% of people believe that creative costumes get you more candy. So instead of just going as Spider-Man, if you went as a refrigerator, you might get more candy. According is what this survey believes.
Also, what about age? Do little kids get more candy than teenagers?
A teenager, yeah.
If you're 13, trick-or-treating, nothing wrong with that either. But if you're 13 trick-or-treating versus a 5-year-old, who gets more candy? Do you give more to the 5-year-old?
I would think that most people would give more candy to the 5-year-old because they're probably cuter.
Like, we always dressed my younger brother up in this duck costume when he was little.
Yeah.
He hated it. We made him wear it every year. We called him the Angry Duck. And he looked really cute in the Angry Duck costume. I went as a pirate.
Yeah.
My brother and I went as the same costume for multiple years in a row because it was the costumes we had. I was a pirate for like 3 years in a row, and my younger brother, Jaden, was the Angry Duck. He hated that duck costume, but he was cute. I have a feeling that Jaden probably got more candy than me because he was younger than me.
Yep, that's what I'm thinking.
Who are you going to give more candy to? A 5-year-old in an Angry Duck costume or an 8-year-old, a 9-year-old in a pirate costume? It's the duck.
Do you think, I think this could be boiled down to, it's not that it's a creative costume. I just think anything that makes you stick out from the crowd, which is hard to do on Halloween, anything that makes you stick out from the crowd gets you more candy.
Or if you're just cuter.
I don't think most people do have a standard of everybody gets 3 pieces.
Yeah, I think I would. But who hands out candy?
Yeah,
you
but you're very logical.
Text in at 8772 RadioU. Do you give every kid the same amount? Do you give younger kids more than older kids?
It's time to decide because Halloween's right around the corner.
Maybe I'll hand out candy this year.
I would love that.
I'd have some great stories.
I know. I'm sure you would.
Add a little riot to your Instagram feed. Follow at RadioU Official. The Riot. Radio U.
All right, we're doing a food fight. We've got the brand new Lunchables grilled cheese, both varieties. They've made a original grilled cheese and a pepperoni grilled cheese. You ever have had a pepperoni grilled cheese at home?
I have. That's actually my go-to grilled cheese. I'm going to make one myself. I'm a big pepperoni fan, so I'll do a pepperoni grilled cheese.
Interesting. I'm a big fan of it. I've never even considered
it's my go-to
pepperoni. I've done ham, bacon, and a grilled cheese. Very good. But never tried or even considered a pepperoni grilled cheese. But we'll see. They say crispy in 60 seconds, they claim. So we follow the directions on the box to the T. We'll see if that claim can be verified.
You want to give it a try?
Should
Which one are we trying first?
I guess probably the standard original.
The standard
first,
original
right?
first, okay.
And I'll tell you, when I cut it for us, it definitely made the sound that it is crispy.
Sounded real crispy.
First thoughts, I don't know if it's crispy or just kind of like
One piece is crispy.
part of it is crispy.
The top half for me is crispy, bottom not crispy.
It doesn't taste bad.
No, it tastes like grilled cheese.
I've had worse grilled cheese than this. But I don't know if crispy is the word I would use for it. It's kind of like gummy almost, the bread.
The crust is crispy.
If you take a bite of the middle, it's got a little crisp.
I think maybe we need to flip it.
It didn't say to flip it.
Well, it seems like it might need to flipped. I think one side's much crispier than the other.
Yeah, one is crispier and the other is kind of soggier.
Yeah.
But they did not say to flip it. Let's move on to the pepperoni. Maybe we had better luck with the pepperoni, but I can feel it. You can feel it in your hand that the one side is much crispier than the other.
It is. Maybe we needed a 2-minute crispy period instead of the 60-second. 60 seconds seems awfully quick, but it's also just bread and cheese. What would happen if you put it in there longer?
It's warmed up. It is ready to eat, but I like your idea. I think we need to do 30 and 30 and flip it, even though that's not what they instruct you to do. The pepperoni one is very similar to a Hot Pocket that doesn't have very much cheese in it.
Yeah, the thing about the pepperoni one is there's way too little of cheese.
Yeah,
They need way more cheese in this. The other one was way cheesier. It should be the same amount of cheese. You just add pepperoni, not minus cheese, add pepperoni.
Mm-hmm. I believe there's also
Tomato sauce.
a minuscule amount of tomato sauce. Yeah. I don't know if there's hardly any cheese, though.
Exudate the tomato sauce, add more cheese.
Yep. Let me see. The last thing is the price. You know how much one box of these was for 2 grilled cheese?
How much?
$4.99. $4.99 for 2 grilled cheese. I don't want to do the dad math here, but think about how many grilled cheeses you could make if you just made them yourself for $4.99.
Well,
That's like
a loaf of bread is like $2.
Yep.
And cheese, about $3.
Yep. You do need butter, right?
Butter, yeah, if you have butter. But you need butter for everything. So butter.
Yeah, you already have butter.
You
That
already
doesn't
have
count.
butter.
That doesn't count.
So then you've got like 14 grilled cheeses for $5.
Uh-huh.
And they taste better. But it's less work.
Oh, this is way less work. Much more convenient, too. You can do this at work. I'm not making a grilled cheese from scratch at work.
But you so easily could.
Yeah, I guess you could. What do we give this? What's the verdict? It doesn't taste horrible.
The regular grilled cheese, I'm giving a 3.1.
Okay.
The pepperoni one, I'm giving a 2.8. There's not enough cheese.
I think I'll give it a 3.5 for the regular, and I'll give it I'll agree 2.8 for the pepperoni. The regular one is better. The 3.5, I would, if it was heavily discounted, if it was like $1 or something, maybe every once in a while I would buy
A Lunchable?
a Lunchable to have on hand in case of emergencies.
The only thing Isaiah loves more than the riot is himself.
Someone who probably still lives with his mother and hates himself.
You're listening to The Riot on RadioU.
I'm so glad that I'm back on the show. I know I don't sound 100%, but it killed me on Monday to not be in, to not do the show. Trying to figure out why that is.
I had a pretty nice Monday.
Pretty chill, huh?
I had a pretty great Monday.
Yeah. It was tough for me, and I was trying to figure it out because I was, I don't like waking up early, and I know we complain a lot about work. I don't like working, although I like doing the show. I just don't like having to do the show. But then when I couldn't do the show, I felt so bad, and I couldn't figure it out. I was like, is it because I'm letting everybody down? But then I thought, no, nobody cares. Everybody else's Monday is just fine. I think it was just me. I think I felt like I was letting myself down. Like somebody was counting on me. It was me to do the show on Monday. And so I had to kind of take a moment and remind myself that, like, look, sometimes you get sick. Sometimes you can't work. You can't feel bad about it. But I think a lot of us hold ourselves to a standard like that, where we start, we kind of are the first person to insult ourselves. We're the first person to criticize. What is that old saying? You're your own harshest critic. Sometimes we start telling ourselves we suck, even though nobody else is actually saying that. But we get this idea, like, you know, everybody else thinks you suck. They're just not saying it. And I'll tell you that when you think about yourself that way, it leads to the idea that, well, if you were to talk to God, God's perfect, you're not. He'd probably be saying the exact same things you're saying to yourself right now. You'd be talking to God and he'd be like, well, how could you not go to work on Monday? How could you not do the show? How could you not do this, or this? But let me fill you in on something. God isn't mean to you like that. As mean as you are to yourself, God is not like that at all. Jesus is not holding you to some unreachable standard. And so when you are talking down to your own self, and when other people are talking down to you, it's good to know that you always have God to turn to. And no matter what other people are saying, and no matter what you're saying about yourself, Jesus isn't saying that. Jesus is still there to love you. Jesus is still there to build you up, no matter what the criticisms, critiques coming at you from yourself or others are. It's nice to have that confidence boost, that somebody you can turn to that's always going to build you up. And if that's something you need right now, it's easy to find. All you do is say, hey, God, I'm ready for that. Start building me up because I need it. Start talking to God. He'll talk to you. He'll help you out. And if you want to know more, RadioU.com/free gift. It's The Riot.
We're not sure who behaves worse, the Riot or their dogs.
I don't even know how to behave like a real human being.
The Riot, Radio U.
You're about to take your flight back to your hometown, when it turns out your flight has been canceled. And your flight has been canceled. You ready for this? Because someone took a dump on the airplane bathroom floor.
Didn't we just do this like a week ago?
Someone
was like running through the plane pooping.
Yeah, that was different. That was a diarrhea.
Oh, thank goodness we have a second story to talk about, because people really were calling for this.
That was uncontrollable. This one, I believe somebody did this intentionally. But what I don't know is, did they do it because they were like drunk? Or did they do it because they were protesting? Because this is a flight back from one of the Spanish islands where people like to vacation if you're in Europe, one of the big party islands. And it was a flight back to the UK. However, the flight had been delayed several times over. People had been loaded onto the plane, and it never would take off for whatever reason. And then eventually it got to the point where they canceled the flight because somebody had gone into the plane bathroom, the lavatory, they like to call it. And instead of going in the toilet, they went on the ground. You think that was all? Somebody finally had enough with their flight being delayed?
I don't really see a point to that. I don't see why the flight was delayed. I don't see why the flight was canceled.
It is questionable, right? When I first read this, it said the flight was grounded. I was like, they did not land a plane because somebody pooped on the floor.
That guy probably should, I don't know if it was a man or woman, should be arrested, thrown in jail. That's the kind of thing that we need to start doing. Thrown in jail. If you can't behave in society on a day-to-day basis, thrown in jail.
How would you know who did it?
I'm sure they have a camera on a plane.
Not inside the bathroom.
You don't need one inside the bathroom to see who went. You think that anyone went into the bathroom after that person and went to the bathroom without coming out and saying, there's poop on the floor? You think there was multiple people that went in there afterwards? I think it'd be pretty easy to tell who did it. The last person in there, because I'm sure
they're smiling.
I'm sure the next person that walked in probably said, somebody went to the bathroom in here. So I think that person, throw them in jail.
You can't prove it, is what I would say.
In jail.
What is their crime?
Not being able to behave in public.
You can't put people in jail for that.
Because, you think about then you know what they should have to do then? Since they chose to ruin everybody else's flight.
Yeah.
Then all the people that were on their way to a wedding, all the people that were on their way to a funeral, all the people that were doing whatever they needed to do for that flight, recoup them the money.
I see here we could go into all of the reasons the flight had already been delayed. So I guess people are upset. I think somebody did it in protest. But the problem is...
Because that's a great protest. That is what adults do. That's what normal human beings do. You know what? I'm kind of upset this plane hasn't landed or hasn't taken off yet.
I'm going to be assured that it never takes off with me on it.
I'm going to go ahead and show the captain. I'm going to poop on the floor. That's what an adult does. That sounds crazy.
Sometimes protests have to be extreme for others to learn the error in their ways.
Oh.
Yeah, they do.
So you're encouraging this?
I'm not encouraging, but I understand the frustration. And I understand, we've all been on a plane where you feel like you have so little control.
But
I don't mean over your bowels, but I mean you just have so little control over the situation.
Well, that's how
You're
it goes.
You're at the mercy of these giant corporations that don't care about you at all.
Don't you think that they would rather take off? Like, you think that they're like, you know what? Whatever. Let's just hang out here. I know these people have places to go, but I would rather just sit here. I'm sure the guy who's flying the plane, you think he wants to be on the plane? He wants to go home. He's at work. It's the same thing as the McDonald's worker.
On the same page,
they can't make you the hamburger, and you scream at them. It's the same thing.
I just understand you have so much frustration. You got to get it out somewhere. You know.
Dave says DNA test.
That feels a little extreme.
For someone pooping on the floor?
It's not a crime.
That is a crime.
It's not a crime.
Yes, that is a crime. That's a crime. That should be a crime. That's not a crime. That should be a crime. It's crazy not to be a crime. You can't just poop anywhere. Can I just pee anywhere? Should be public indecency or something. Jail.
It's the riot.
Disinformation, mispronunciations, bad impressions. That's Hudson. This is the riot on Radio U.
Would you rather double the money you currently have or double the size of the home you live in? And we have a text in from Regina who says, double the size of my home. We've actually been trying to double our home, add on to our house anyways, and keep getting delayed. So it'd be it's been on their wish list.
Make it happen.
Yeah. Get on it, Regina. That's a long one. Abby says, I would rather double my money because I love traveling above all and don't like staying at home. I like that answer. If you're like content with what you have, either way, then doubling the money would probably be the way to go because it increases your opportunities.
Bailey says, currently, as we look for a house after selling ours, I would vote to double my money because of what I have in the bank, which would enable me to purchase a nicer / bigger house.
Bailey, a little loophole, a little best of both worlds in this Would You Rather Wednesday scenario. I like it. Jeff, just double the house and sell it, he says.
Smart.
I do not own a home. I rent. I would double my money, even though that wouldn't be that exciting. It'd do me more good than having a double size house. I don't know what I'd do with all that space. I'd fill it up with something I don't need. So I'm doing double the money. Susanna says, right now the money in my bank account is going towards remodeling for our house. There we go, another one. I didn't know we had so many people doing home reno. But so she's also going to go with doubling the house, I believe. She says she's not sure how to answer it. What's your choice? You don't own your home either. So is
I'm
it just
not
the money?
I mean, I would that's an obvious answer. Anyone who's renting would say, double my money.
Yeah.
Because if you said double my apartment, then you're just an imbecile.
Yeah.
So then if I do the real question, which is if I owned a home, would I rather double the size of my home or the amount of money I have? Tough to say. Currently, I probably would pick double my house.
You think so? I feel like in a world where I have a home that I own, I've saved up a nice amount of money, and it'd be nice to double that.
But don't you think that the amount of money that you would add on, like if your house was worth $200,000 and you doubled it, then it would now be worth $400,000, which would be an extra $200K.
I don't know if it's exactly linear like that, but I mean that's basically what Jeff is saying.
Let's make it easy like that. Then in your mind, if you're doubling your money or you're doubling $200K, maybe you are.
I just imagine that once I buy a house too, and I know it doesn't exactly work like this, but I'm not going to buy a house I'm not happy with. And so if I bought a house, I'm probably happy with the size. It's what I need. It's in a location that's okay for me. And so I don't want to have to go through the hassle of selling it.
See, I'm thinking
to have
sell.
the double the money, which I could just instantly have.
I'm thinking sell. That's all I'm thinking. I'm thinking flip the house and downsize.
It's a long-term. The long-term choice is probably doubling the house if you're a homeowner.
But maybe if you saved up a lot of money and you're living very conservatively in a small house, then it would be double the money.
That's how I picture it for me whenever I buy a house.
Add a little riot to your Instagram feed. Follow @RadioU Official. The Riot. Radio U.
We haven't talked about Taylor Swift in a while. But apparently, the Best Buy CEO hates her. Best Buy made news earlier this week. They've announced they're going to stop selling DVDs and Blu-rays. One of the big announcements they made. Their CEO, Corey Berry, says that times are a little tougher at Best Buy as of late, and she blames it in part on what she calls funflation. And she cited Taylor Swift as an example, the Eras Tour of funflation, where people now are more concerned, more excited, more willing to spend their disposable income on experiences like the Eras Tour. We're going to see Barbie and Barbenheimer, than they are on investing in big ticket purchases of like tech at Best Buy. What do you make of it?
I think he sounds like a complainer.
I think it's a she.
I think she sounds like a complainer. Sorry, Corey.
She's one of Fortune's most powerful women.
Well, congratulations on all your success. You think you would empower another powerful woman. But besides the point, I would say, Corey, I feel like you can't have it both ways now. Because it feels like, what's everybody say? All everyone does is technology, this, that. Everyone's buried in their phones. They're buried doing video games. And then now you're saying that everybody's going out and having too much fun? What everyone says is wrong with the world, what everybody says is hurting us so much, is that nobody goes outside and plays anymore. Children just play on iPads all day long. They never stop staring at the screen. And now the CEO of Best Buy says, well, it seems like everybody just wants to go to concerts and have fun outside of their house.
Yeah.
Isn't that what everyone says we're supposed to do?
It's tough to say. I mean, I think it's right. I think it's
like
better.
People are going to the Barbie. She quoted Barbie and Oppenheimer.
Yep.
Because the movie theaters are just killing right now. They're just on fire. I mean, like never before. Isn't that what we're saying the whole summer? Oh my gosh. They can't keep people out of the theaters. Popcorn's selling at all-time highs. No, that's not real life, Corey. Yet again, wild conclusions. Way out of touch. Reading headlines. Insane.
It's tough. What do you think you get more enjoyment out of? One Taylor Swift Eras Tour concert or one new surround sound system? It's difficult.
It's a good question.
because the surround sound system is with you every day.
It is.
It's always there when you need it. That Taylor Swift Eras Tour night, that's one night, but you remember it for a lifetime.
See, I think this is also just the question of summer versus winter. In the summertime, you should go to concerts. You should experience the nice weather. Go do things outside. In the wintertime, you're probably more likely to maybe hang out at home, invest in that surround sound.
On a TV because you're going to watch a lot of football and Netflix on it.
But these initial, Taylor Swift and blaming it on Barbie and Oppenheimer.
Can I say?
Wild takes.
Let me, here's my take, Best Buy. I think that the reason that things aren't going as well for you is because people aren't excited about new technology because it's not exciting anymore. TVs aren't that different anymore.
That's the truth.
They used to get more exciting. Now it's just slightly bigger. And who needs a TV that's slightly bigger or slightly crisper?
Or a phone that's slightly bigger. Or is it smaller? I don't know which way we're going right now.
I can't even tell that you put two TVs unless you put them side by side. I don't know which one is crisper. I'm happy with the one I have. I don't need it slightly bigger or with a better resolution. It's not exciting anymore. That's the problem, Best Buy.
Come out with something cool.
Yeah.
That we must have.
Tell Sony. Tell
we have
Apple to make something exciting.
Find more Riot content online. Riot.radiou.com.